Greetings guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette. This is my channel Evolve with Monette. So happy to have you here with me today, and we're going to get right into the video. For those of you that are new, I am a professional intuitive empath, and the subject that I want to talk about is your divine masculine or divine feminine, your karmic soulmate, your toxic twin, your false twin, whatever the moniker is you want to ascribe. Are they a liability? All right, guys. What I will share with you, for those of you that have been following my journey, you know exactly what I'm going to say here, is that I've been through this. And I had to assess what I think now is, I don't even want to call it, I think it was a karmic soulmate. I definitely will never not say this person wasn't a soulmate. I've definitely devolved from the divine counterpart, because the way that someone behaves like that was not divine. It was a bunch of BS. But what I will tell you is the reason that I really walked away from the situation is because she became a liability. My DM, my divine masculine, if you will, my karmic soulmate was a woman. All right, but with masculine energy. And when I say masculine energy, what I mean is in the way that she was a misogynist, really. She fashioned her energy after a father that she loved, and he was a misogynist who had bat caves and didn't answer to anybody. He was a pastor, and he had bat caves, and it was this place where we called it a bat cave, but he had a key, and he wouldn't allow his wife, who they were a pastor's wife and husband, wouldn't allow them to wouldn't allow anybody to access that place. And he could do anything in there, and probably did do anything in there. And what I will say is his toxic masculinity meant that no one questions me, and that's how my DM, my person, behaved as well. I will not be questioned. I will have as many women as I want. I do not want to answer to anything, and I will not value our friendship. I purposely kept our friendship platonic because I knew who she was and who she fashioned herself after, but I still couldn't outrun fast enough to escape the wake of the misogyny and the wake of the disrespect and the wake of the infidelity and all of that stuff. It still affected me, okay? You can't outrun your pathology. She was dealing with her own. I certainly was dealing with mine from my father. Now, here's the reason that I say all of that, is to say this. I assessed that person as a liability in my life as I've been working diligently to grow my business. And I was working, you know, a rose in Harlem for sure. Concrete rose. I rose through the concrete. I was working under very tough, rough circumstances with someone who was being wildly disrespectful. And I kept like plugging away. And I'm building my business and building my business. This person kept saying to me, like, you're working all the time. You're working all the time. I was working for something. You know, Nipsey Hussle says, if you go to sleep and wake up, $100 bill is still $100 bill, but sometimes you can go to sleep and wake up and the person you love doesn't love you anymore. And that very much became the case in the scenario with me. This person that I poured a lot of energy into not only decided she didn't love me anymore, she energetically and emotionally walked away, tried to gaslight me into thinking it was me who walked away when she had abandoned me years before. And I predicted it, y'all. All that's coming up. But what I will tell you is the reason that I actually ended up walking away emotionally and physically is because I felt like she was going to be a danger to my business. I felt like she was going to be a danger to my lifestyle. I felt like she was going to be a danger to my livelihood. She was my bestie, and I thought that I could take her with me across the world, and that I could have her when I had celebrity clients fly me out, and I could have her there. I didn't know that she would end up doing cocaine off of people's body parts and all of that stuff. These were premonitions and all of this, right? So while that didn't actually happen, that's what my angels, it was like, that's so Raven. That's how my gift kind of works. I saw into the future, and I was like, I was introduced to her through somebody that she kind of linked up with, and it shifted the way I saw her. And I no longer saw her as like loyal, because she wasn't. She was talking about me and gossiping. These all happened. This was real. She was doing things that were so cruel and unkind and unwarranted, because I never did them about her. No one could ever talk about her. No one could ever say a word. And I've said this before in other videos. So I was shocked by her behavior, and my angels were like, we gave her a lot of power because we wanted to test her. She was high flying, adored, Icarus too close to the sun. She was high flying, adored for about a year, popular and happy. And yes, we're 38-year-old women at the time that this began. I mean, maybe it began before for her, but I noticed that the last year, not this year that just passed, but 2019, she was living her best life. She was living her best life, and she was all of the things. I taught her a lot. I'd given her a lot of energy and information. She did a single white female kind of sucking of my energy, and that's okay. I stood back. And I was like, you know what? The teacher is now become the student. I'm going to observe her. And God, I was so excited because I was like, oh God, she has no idea that I'm working this hard and that one day I'm going to bless her and she won't ever have to work, or I'll give her a position. Like, I was on my Drake-ish, right? Started from the bottom, very much in that. And I was like, I'm going to give her everything. I'm going to buy her everything. I'm going to take her everywhere. I'm going to take care of her because she's been so loyal to me. No. No. And you know what's so interesting? She kind of failed the test like right before the test was over. It was a long time coming. She's impatient. She didn't have the patience. But here's what I will tell you. My angels were like, she's a liability. We're going to let you see her. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. We're going to let you observe her having all of the power, feeling she was using my spirituality, even though she wasn't grounded in it, didn't believe in it, didn't really utilize it, and then turned on it, you know, as any trader will do. And she was using it because she liked the attention. She liked people coming to her. She liked people asking her questions. She didn't love it because she loved it. I live and breathe this, guys. I've lived and breathed this before it was cool. I've lived and breathed it before anybody thought I had a capacity. I lived and breathed it while narcissists looked in my face and told me I sucked at it. And now I'm again on my Drake-ish. I'm top 5 and I'm not 2. In the company that I freelance for. And I mean that, y'all. It's statistical. I feel very good about it. It's weird because I can't disclose where I work because of indemnity clauses. But what I will tell you is I was growing and I was having real executives and real people that have real power reach out to me and say, we're putting the weight of this behind you because we see you as we see you. We see you. And I was thinking of who I would bring with me. And I wanted someone who was classy and who could carry themselves and who would hold my secrets. And she couldn't hold my secrets around the people that were racist and not healthy and low vibrational and were misleading her and stuff like that. And I thought, oh my gosh. So even though she was my divine counterpart at the time, y'all, you know, we've done away with divine, but even though she was my counterpart at the time, and I wanted nothing more than to share this experience with her and take her with me, my angel said she's a liability. And I said, no. I fought with them, y'all. I was like, no, she's not. She's amazing. And you guys are wrong. And they're like, okay. And it was like Job. You know how in the Bible they test Job? Let me turn on my fan, guys. You know how in the Bible they test Job, right? And they test Job, and the devil says to God, oh, Job is such a faithful servant because you never let us test him. So God's like, all right, go test him. He's still going to be faithful. They strip everything away from Job, right? And he does ask God, why have you forsaken me? And God says, I haven't. And then he replenishes. You know, that's where that Bible verse comes. God will restore the years that the locusts have eaten. So he replenishes everything that Job lost. And I was so for sure that she was going to pass the test. God was like, all right, you think that she's ready to go with you? You think that she can handle the places we're about to take you? And I was like, beyond a shadow of a doubt, she's in her Empress energy. She is strong. She is smart. She is beautiful. I just adored this person. So I was like, she is so ready. I had her up on a pedestal, and God was like, we're going to give her a little taste of a scintilla of where we're taking you. And let's just see how she does under pressure. Well, y'all, pressure building up on me, or whatever you say. She didn't do too good. She became pompous and supercilious and cruel. She became exactly that phrase, absolute power corrupts absolutely. She didn't even have absolute power. My angels were like, we're giving her just a bit, just a touch of what you will have access to and the way people will be with you. And we want you to understand something here, that this girl is not who you think she is. She is not ready for where you're going. She is not ambitious. She is not willing to work. She's lazy. She is not wanting what you want. You think she wants what you want because you want her to be there, because you, come on now, can I talk about it, have a vision that this is what's supposed to happen. listen. You listen to Drake too much, and now you think you have to take someone who started from the bottom with you. But a lot of people that you see that are celebrities and or have achieved any great height of success will say, sometimes you have to know when to separate the wheat from the chaff. That's biblical. Separating the wheat from the chaff, which means the part of the wheat that's usable, malleable, and palatable, and the part that's just trash. And I won't say exactly that she only had that in her. I think in her own way, someday she'll get it together, but she wasn't supposed to get it together with me because she didn't value it and didn't appreciate it. And beyond that, she was a liability. So I use my life as an example so that you can assess, is your DM or your DF a liability? Is this person that you think you're on this journey with, that you're waiting for, which y'all, can I tell you, stop waiting for the, stop and find a real life. And I'm not saying that to be mean if you're holding out hope, but your divine doesn't get to keep that name if they're treating you like trash. And you know why they treat you like trash? Because waterfall finds its own level. Another video that I have coming up, meaning they are feeling that way, and so they want you to find that. And isn't the karmic their own level? The person that she chose was her water finding her own level. She was comfortable. She didn't have to change. She didn't have to stretch. She didn't have to be challenged. She didn't have to spiritually grow. She could have instantaneous gratification. The devil always has a cost for that, and that cost would have become a liability to my business. I didn't trust her because I couldn't trust her with this little peon, let alone could I trust her with a real celebrity who she'd want to impress, or who she wouldn't be able to hold her liquor around, or who she would be soliciting for drugs or soliciting herself for sex. That was a problem for me. As a Leo, I care very much about decorum. It doesn't mean that I don't curse or don't have sex or have never done a drug. Nay, I've done all those things. But there is a time and a place. There is a way and there is grace. And I expect of a counterpart or a friend of mine to carry themselves accordingly. And that may sound snobby, but it's okay, divine feminine. It's okay, empath. It's okay, intuitive, for you to have boundaries. What she did was beyond the pale to me and beyond reproach. Let Jesus forgive her. I don't have that much compassion, but I couldn't allow her to mess up where I was going. And she was reckless AF with a little bit of power that the universe gave her to show me she's not ready. And you know why she's not ready? They say premature responsibility breeds superficiality. She was taking on the persona of a spiritual teacher without having laid the groundwork of being a spiritual teacher. And I laid that groundwork when I cried in bathroom stalls when people rejected me because they were intimidated and scared because their church told them what I did was evil. I laid the groundwork when I've had family members tell me about what I could or couldn't be, and narcissists with their spittle flying out of their mouth inches from my face telling me who I wasn't. I've laid the groundwork when I've laid before the Lord and cried, when I've prayed, when I've got up, when I've studied, when I've rang my singing bowls, when I have figured out how to use my intuition to do my readings before I ever picked up cards. I laid the groundwork when I studied, when I read, when I thought, when I taught, when I wrote. I laid the groundwork when I speak to children. I laid the groundwork every day that I dedicated myself to this work, when it didn't pay, when it didn't pay off, when no one believed in me, when no executives were calling, when no one was paying me $11 a minute to talk to me. I laid the groundwork. The reason that I say all of this to you today is not to flex, but it is to say, if you are a teacher and a spiritual practitioner, my friends, you have laid your groundwork. No one gets to just ride your coattails. And more often than not, when we are romantically involved or emotionally involved, as this was my bestie and it was an entanglement situationship, if ever there was one, you will lose yourself and forget that you don't automatically get to bring the person that started from the bottom with you. They get to decide whether they come with you by their behavior. She didn't realize that she was being tested and that the universe was saying to her, do you want to go? And when she had that power in her hand, she became Gollum. It was from Lord of the Rings, if you've ever seen that, when Gollum gets the ring. You know how when anybody gets the ring, which the ring is a representation of power, right? When anybody gets that ring in their hand, they devolve into their most cravenous and egoic selves. My memory that sticks with me forever is Cate Blanchett, the White Witch, and she is like, I will be the most powerful. And in the rest of the movie, she's this sweetheart, and she's docile, and she's wise, but ego is in us all. And God tests us before he thrusts us into a spotlight. Can you handle when people love you or they hate you? Because what did Jay-Z say? First they love you, then they hate you, then they love you again. There have been people that have cussed me out on this platform and told me what I was and what I wasn't and what I would never be. But you know why I stood in that? Even if it bothered me for a moment and then I moved past it, is because people have been telling me that my whole life. What my angel said to me about my person who was liable and liability and liable to cause me a liability, they said, she has not been tested and proven. You have been rejected and downtrodden and beaten and looked over and underestimated. We have purged you and forged you in fire, my daughter. We have sent you through. Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you stood in the fire with just the Lord by you when no one else thought that you were a rider. Come on. No one else thought that I could do it. And you know who did? God did. But he said, we tested you. We didn't give you easy tests. We had out and out rejection. That was my path. It doesn't have to be yours. But this person got to kind of ride the wave of my energy, and God said, let's see what she does with it. And he said, the reason that we let you see who she was now is so that she didn't embarrass you then. She was a liability. And what would we do when we're dealing with a business? We assess our liabilities and we cut our losses when someone or something will cost us more than their worth. She proved her lack of worth to me in her lack of loyalty and honesty. And God said she can't go. It broke my heart, y'all. You know, I'm going to be really candid with you. I would never tell her that, but it broke my heart, man. I only wanted to bless that girl, and she only treated me like pure shit the second she had a chance. She was probably the meanest mean girl I've ever dealt with in my life. I'm shocked that this is someone that I love for 20 years because she had energy transference and she was with another mean girl who thought she was like the Suge Knight of Becky's, y'all. I got something for her ass too. But what I will say is I listened to God and I backed up and I watched, and he said, watch the throne, which is me. You've been treating her like she's on a throne, and this girl doesn't give a single care about you. And not only does she not care, she will destroy you. She will wait till you get to go see that celebrity. And I have had people reach out to me and all that kind of stuff. And she will really, really, really ruin you. And they said, let us drop her off here. The biblical reference is in the Bible where Abraham is asked by God to take his son Isaac to be sacrificed. And Isaac was a son he prayed over and he wanted. Isaac was the promise. Ishmael came before, right? I realized she was really my Ishmael, right? But what I will tell you, that's another story for another day. I started to ascend the mountain with her. And as Abraham's ascending the mountain, God says, leave the asses and the donkeys behind because they can't go to the higher ground that we're going to. And it was just such a powerful lesson to me of that. They go on their journey and sacrifices are made, and it's a ram that comes from the bush and it's not his son. God was testing him. God does that all the time. The universe does that all the time. What is your character? Money, they say, exposes your character, and she had access to just a bit and was doing things illegally and had some stuff. Not only did she not share it ever with me, which I did not need her dirty money, but it was just a testament of her lack of character. I would have given her anything. I gave her everything, even when I had nothing. How much more richly would I have blessed her? Abundantly so. But God said, this is not a person whose heart is pure or good. She lives in lack and poverty, and she will cost you way more than you realize. And so this is her stop, daughter. And I begged and I pleaded and I cried and I kicked and I held on till I was bloodied and ripping tendons in my body, figuratively speaking, to hold on to her. I have a story coming up here about a hot air balloon in a dream and a depiction they showed me my angels the next day. Maybe I'll make a video about that next. But what I will tell you is I held on to the point where it was painful, and then I had to release. And God said, isn't that better? We could see what you did not, and we could hear the things she said about you and the way she disrespected you when you could not hear it. And that's why we intervened. We were not going to let you walk into your blessings with her attached to you. Because an attachment, like demonic, is exactly what it would have been. This woman did not love you, and she wasn't happy for you. She was jealous of you, and she hated you. And you didn't realize it because you were loving blindly. Sometimes in order to be spiritual, you have to open your eyes. Everything is not kumbaya and love and light. It's discernment. And my discernment finally got it. She was a liability. Is your person a liability? Is the person that you're holding on to a detriment to your life or an edification? That's the thing to ask you. I know a lot of you guys are really attached to this journey, but this journey is all about you. You know, you get that romance with that partner for a hot, quick second, or that synergistic best friendship for a hot, quick second. And then if it's not supposed to be there, yoink, it's removed. And then the rest of the work is about you. And for those of you that are manifesting back your counterparts, as you ascend, so shall they. I have zero hope for her ascension. Okay, zero. That's my story, but your story may be different. But for a while, you have to assess. Can you take them with you? Is your partner a liability? That's the message for the day, guys. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Come back and join me next time, and we will continue to evolve together.